Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy. Good morning, Hartwell.
Good morning, everyone, and Kris.
So this morning, Hartwell decided to change up the subject for human design, and that is like, how do we put this information that we've been collecting about human design into practice or into use in our everyday life? So this is what we're going to be talking about this morning, and hopefully Mr. Hartwell can give us a few tips and tricks on putting this into use so that we can evolve. So where we can get started is like we've gone over all the basics, the basic types and the lines and the profiles, all those sorts of things. But how exactly do we put all of this information to use? Because it's a lot of information.
Yes, it is a lot of information. And of course, you and I have ongoing discussions about this.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, each one of us is a unique experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to apply this for ourselves. But we have these basics in order to make our way into and reflect on life in a way that will help us live better. So,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, if we start simply on the basis of type, the four types of generator, projector, manifester, and reflector, how do we live in a way that respects other people's design and potentially, helps them be them?
Mm-hmm.
So there's me seeking to live my strategy and authority, but there's also me knowing your design, for instance, Kris.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you an example. And I mean, I don't have all the answers. This is an ongoing and evolving thing as I, in a sense, learn to live more deeply myself,
Mm-hmm.
and so do the people around me. But we have some starting tips, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I know you're a generator. You know I'm a projector.
Right.
Generators, remember, are the ones who are here to build, to produce, to create, and who love to work and who have the most energy to be able to work. But they are also meant to live in response to life because that is a generator strategy, to respond. So first thing, know who the people, know the basic types of the people in your life. If you know they're a generator, for instance, it can be helpful to ask them direct questions that are yes or no questions.
Right.
Because then you would have something to respond to.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems very simple and maybe even boring or whatever. But
well, no, but that you just brought up a point that's really important because we have this conversation sometimes, and I'm like, get to the point. Like, is it yes? Is it no? Like, just decide, right? Like, because I'm a generator, so I want that information so that I can respond, right? So I get what you're saying. So it would be helpful to know that about whoever you're in partnership with or whoever's in your family to be able to have communication with them like that. So that makes a lot of sense.
well, are you saying that you want me to give you a yes or no answer, or are you saying that that's what you need to do in order to feel your own
Right.
design?
That's what I'm saying. So when I'm responding, that's when I feel like I'm being myself, right? So when
Yes.
people are not doing that, when they're not calling stuff out of me where I can respond directly, then it feels like I'm not myself and I get frustrated. So I can see
Yeah.
where that comes into play, right?
Yes, so that is a good example because you're very aware and you're seeking to work with this information,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a good thing to know about people because you're built to respond, so give you something to respond to, and then there's a more direct link to, okay, what is my authority telling me?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Exactly.
for instance, for a projector, projectors want to be recognized and invited.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know somebody's a projector in your life, you know that there are ways in which they see the world differently than you do.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're not as enmeshed, they don't have as much energy. They're not as enmeshed, they're observing the energy all the time that the generators around them are displaying.
Mm-hmm.
So they have insights that could potentially be very useful to any generator that's key in their lives. So we want to be invited. It's like, oh, Hartwell, what do you think? What is your perception of this?
Mm-hmm.
I know sometimes you have ideas that I don't see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that makes a projector feel very included.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not every invitation is going to be, not every projector, or not every invitation a projector gets is going to be the right one for them, but
Mm-hmm.
their ability to perceive, things that are, they just perceive different things.
Right. So, is there a way that we can encourage people to be in their design? Like you've kind of given a couple of examples, but is there another, like maybe give another example of like a reflector or a manifester in case there's people that are those types watching?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, manifestors, they're not self strategy as anger, and that anger shows up for them when they run into obstacles from other people.
Mm-hmm.
So um, they are meant to live in a very free way, and they are the one who initiate.
Mm-hmm.
So um, it's important for them to inform people before they do things because often their actions are surprising.
Mm-hmm.
But from me looking at a manifester, I can often, in a sense, also inform them and let them know what I'm doing, and that actually helps them.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm planning, or this is what I'm doing here.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of what they need to be doing in the world, but they also like to have that sense that other people are including them, that
Right.
other people are, in a sense, letting them know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
For the reflectors, I mean, I don't always think a whole bunch about the reflectors. There's so
Because they're
few of
so
them,
small. Yeah.
but they are meant to function best within groups.
Okay.
They need to find a community where they fit and where their own unique perception and way of being is honored.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the good fortune of having a reflector in your community,
Right.
then really value that and
Mm-hmm.
be curious about their perception about the world. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that would go a long way towards having them really feel their own place.
Right. Right. So we talk about like knowing the designs about with the people around you and how that can help you. So like not only in a personal setting, but in a business setting, I'm thinking that this would also apply. So if I know that the people that I work with are certain types, then I know how to deal with each one of those, especially being a leader or, somebody in a position of responsibility like that. If you know your employees, then you know how to interact with each one and how they fit together.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. For instance, that's a very good point, and it's
Hmm.
as useful, if not more so, in those environments as it is in our other environments because we spend a
Right.
lot of time in our work environments.
Hmm.
For instance, if you know someone's a projector, then they're going to have a sense of the overall bigger picture. So some of the
Right.
things I already said apply. You
Hmm.
know, they're not going to be your workhorse. They're not
Hmm.
going to be your workaholic employee. They're not
Right.
designed for that. And if you overload them, it's going to be very not working for them.
Hmm.
For the generator, when you want to be aware of, are they frustrated? Are they in the
Hmm.
right place?
Right.
If they're frustrated in the workplace, are they frustrated with the job itself or something that's going on? Maybe they like the job, but there are other things that are frustrating.
Hmm.
But when you offer them opportunities,
Hmm.
they need to respond in a way that's appropriate for them. And if the
Hmm.
opportunity is right,
Hmm.
then they're going to feel excited about it. And you're probably going to be able to see that as an employer.
Right. But you would be able to tell that what type of our opportunities would feel good to them, but based on their design.
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell as an employer, but,
Hmm.
I would be looking for the signs that it was a good fit for them. And,
Hmm.
I would be wanting it. Say I'm an enlightened employer. I want them to be happy. I
Hmm.
don't want them to be frustrated. I want them to be satisfied.
Right.
And so, I mean, the inner authority comes into this conversation a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's emotionally defined, don't force them into a corner and try and get a decision from them immediately.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be not self for them if you do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a splenic authority employee or person in your life, they're going to be fast.
Mm-hmm.
Don't shame them for being quick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, think about it. Don't look before you leap. There's all sorts of ways that we unconsciously shame each other,
Right.
or you know.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing their strategy and inner authority is going to be useful for you understanding, oh, this is why the interaction goes this way, or these are some of the things that we pick up from each other that we haven't paid attention to enough.
Yeah. So how do we deal with that emotional wave that comes along either in our own energy or what you pick up from others?
Thank you for asking me for that. Thank you for asking that question, Kris.
Mm-hmm.
Emotionally defined people operate that awareness operates in a wave, and it goes up and down, and it's a chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest problems in all of our lives is that when our chemistry is in, when we're not feeling great, when we're feeling sad, when we're feeling melancholy, this is a
Mm-hmm.
signature of people who are meant to be very creative. And it's also something that permeates the energy of the world.
Mm-hmm.
We need to stop coming up with reasons for why we're feeling not great or
Right.
why we're feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for instance, I can be moody.
Mm-hmm.
If one day you notice, oh, Hartwell is feeling melancholy, I can
Mm-hmm.
feel that coming off of him.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask me, I'm going to tell you, you might ask me, is something wrong? What's going on for you? And I'll say, nothing is
I'm
wrong, Kris.
fine. I'm fine.
I'm just low in the wave, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
But what most people do, and then I can let go of it because I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to, in a sense, try and fix me or
Mm-hmm.
fix yourself if you're in that
Right.
space, because then the not self mind will
Mm-hmm.
generate all sorts of reasons for why that is. And that's how we create a lot of the problems in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean?
Oh yeah. Because
It's
you're
huge.
Yeah, because everybody's like, well, why am I feeling this way? And then you start telling yourself a story, and then that story gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you end up in a depression, and then you end up, yeah, doing things that you normally wouldn't do, right? Yeah, that.
Exactly. It can warp your entire life
Mm-hmm.
to be making up reasons for why sometimes you don't feel good. Oh, I have this syndrome, I have this, I have that.
Yeah,
And really it's just your chemistry.
yeah. Well, that's
And
like
so
I was going to say, well, when you talk about chemistry, then that would explain things like, people that are diagnosed as bipolar or ADHD and all these other things, um, or people that are said to be narcissists or all these things. Like everybody has a chemistry, right, in which they respond and things are invoked out of them. But when we try to
yes.
tell stories to that, that's when we get into all of the conundrum, right? Like, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, I am saying that. I mean, I
Mhm.
do not have enough experience with anybody who has clinical challenges to know
Mhm.
if there's something else going on. But what I do know for myself and for a lot of the people that I've observed is
Mhm.
that don't don't put a reason on whether you're feeling good or whether you're feeling bad. If you're
Mhm.
feeling good, enjoy it. But it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you've done something right that you can repeat and stay there forever.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you're not feeling great, it doesn't mean that you've done something wrong that you need to stop doing and then you would feel better.
Mhm.
It doesn't have information of that kind.
Right.
It's simply part of what our life is.
Right.
And if there is anything to be done, you could say, well, if I'm in a very melancholy space,
Hmm.
that might be an opportunity for me to tune in to myself in a certain way and use it to be creative in the world.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. So, do you have anything else that you want to share with us before we go this morning about putting this information to use or things that would be helpful for people?
Um, I would say this is an ongoing conversation, and this is part of why we want to know our human design. So keep being aware of it, keep applying your own strategy and authority, and notice the people around you. And we're going
Hmm.
to get, as this information deepens and moves through the collective, we're going to understand it better.
Hmm.
And but what I would say is, first of all, get yourself a human design and understand the basics of your strategy and authority so you can start living the experiment and at least look up and discover these strategies and authorities of the people that are key in your life.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because I think this comes down to awareness too, right? This is a tool to help us develop awareness of ourselves, but also awareness of those around us and how we interact together. So, very valuable tool, human design, and we are blessed to have you on our team, and as is anyone who chooses to get a reading with you. So, I'm just going to leave everybody today with that. And next week, we're going to be delving into something called the Venus sequence. So that's not something that most people get on their first reading. It's something that they come back and ask for. So this is a chance for you to understand what that is, and maybe if you want to come in and start exploring your Venus sequence. So till then, we'll say goodbye. Goodbye, Hartwell. And be
Bye
careful out
bye.
there on the roads, everybody. God bless. It's very icy today.